to Advocate Today. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. That 70s show holds a special place in the hearts of many TV fans, and we're heading back to Wisconsin for more. Netflix is breathing new life into this iconic series with a new reboot called That 90s Show. And while some things have changed, there are still core messages that stem from the original series. I spoke with original series star Debra Rupp and newcomer Reyn Doi about traveling back to the 90s, providing on-screen visibility for queer Asian teens who don't often get to see themselves on screen, and more. Thank you for chatting with me. First, I wanted to go to Debra Jo and just ask you what it's been like to come back to this franchise a couple of times and to watch Kitty grow with the times. I think that's got to be an interesting act as an actor to be able to see that happen.
It is. It's really interesting. I've never done this before. It's like a 17-year passage, so you have to acknowledge that, that it's there and that it's happened. And it's kind of different, but also kind of the same. It's, she still is Kitty,
Yeah.
And it helps too that the younger people involved in the show are different. So that has its own dynamic.
Ozzy is such a wonderful character because he's very proudly gay, but he's also navigating that identity at a time when there was a lot less visibility. There was almost nothing on television for anybody who was LGBTQ+. And so I wonder if you would talk a little bit about what it means to you to play this character who's kind of giving a coming out story to people who never got to see it back in the 90s, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm really proud of Ozzy and what the writers and producers have created for his character. And I think that it's always important to anyone in Ozzy's situation now that they feel comfortable and they find that person, whether it's their parents or in this case, their best friend's grandmother, to come out to, like Kitty. So I think that Ozzy was really given that opportunity to have that really touching moment with Kitty, and he decided to come out.
Yeah, it's really lovely the way it unfolds. And Debra Jo, it's so important to LGBTQ+ people to find someone that makes them feel safe and heard. And in this case, Kitty gets to be that person. Would you talk about you playing that character who is the one who makes Ozzy feel safe?
In the 90s, I was in my 40s in the 90s. Okay. And
you look amazing. I would not have known that.
Oh, yeah. No. It's called lighting and whatever. But I was in the 90s. It was a very part of life for me. It was not a big deal at all. Not in my world. And right. So when they first talked about writing the episode, I was like, what? Oh. And I think because Kitty was a nurse, the small town is part of it. I was in New York City, so that's quite a different environment. So the small town adds something to it. It becomes a little, perhaps not quite the norm. And I thought about how Kitty would have knowledge of this, I think, through nursing and through, she would just have more knowledge about this kind of thing. And Kitty just has never been a character of judgment. Well, no, she does not like Canadians, but and we don't know why. But in the big things, Kitty is kind of fantastic. And then Reyn is so lovely and gentle, and so sweet and quirky. It is heartbreaking to me that someone would not understand him, So I was really happy to be able to be the one, to put my arms around him and say, oh, come on, you're one of the family,
Yeah, wonderful. I think it's great. And, something that I think is also incredible, Reyn, is that the friend group is all accepting. And, for transparency, I'm a gay person that came out in the 80s, and it was different. back then. And I think it's lovely that there's the friend group, and then you have Kitty. And then there's this other thing that's going on that is really bringing representation to a group that doesn't have it, which is, first off, we don't see a lot of Asian characters on TV. And then we really don't see a lot of queer Asian characters on TV. And I wonder if you would talk about what it means to you that a young person who sees Ozzy might feel seen by that, and might and maybe for the first time, no pressure, but but I wonder what that means to you.
Yeah, representation has always been like very important to me. And so when I was given the opportunity to play Ozzy, even when I first got the audition, I was like, no doubt, like I was not afraid of playing a gay character. I was proud and I was so interested. And I have like zero regrets because it's been like the most fun experience of my life. And to be able to have those moments with Kitty and those moments with Red, who he dislikes a little bit, and he definitely likes Kitty more. To be able to have those moments for the audience to see it, I'm really excited. And I hope that they see that, it's possible to have a kid be Asian and gay. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Yeah, it's incredibly important. And Debra Jo, you mentioned working with a new cast every time. You get to work with previous castmates as well, which is really fun when they show up. Would you talk a little bit about the new cast and what it's been like to learn from this different generation?
Well, it's a different generation, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And and I'm a little bit older now, and I feel that as you age, perhaps your patience is a little less, along with your upper lip. I just the kids are so unique. They're so, each one of them, they are such individuals, and they're so talented, and there's no way to compare them to the other cast. So it makes my work, it makes it really easy for me, because they're just their own people in their own time, just like when we did 70's show, those kids were their own people in their time, so it hasn't been difficult. There has not been really any comparison. I mean, when we've had the original cast come back to the set, we just cry. We basically just cry. And then the new kids just kind of stare at us like, what are you doing? We need to rehearse. It's just kind of a family atmosphere. I think that's what we're trying to create, because that's what we had. So.
Yeah, well, that definitely comes across. And Reyn, would you just talk a little bit about working with this cast and Debra Jo and Kurtwood and and some of the originals when they do come back?
You have to say nice things, Reyn. Just like, oh no, I don't know what he knows and what he doesn't. So,
I only know nice things, Debra Jo. No, it's been an absolute blast, and I think, as Debra Jo said, like the family environment. And I think that's what really creates that bond between all of us, the kids, and between Debra Jo and Kurtwood. And the original cast have been so just really phenomenal in returning and being a part of the show and creating, like, sort of participating. But working with Debra Jo and Kurtwood, I mean, it's an absolute dream come true for me.
And I didn't even pay him. He's
got media training already.
The other thing about Reyn is that he is the youngest, and so there's that element too of trying to fit in, and and where do you fit in, and honestly, this role could not be in better hands. He's just remarkable.
Thank you.
That's how you do it, Reyn. That's how you do it.
I know. And, and before I forget, Debra Jo, you and Topher ate lunch with us. I mean, like, that's how close we all were. And Topher shared some interesting stories.
Thank you to Debra Jo and Reyn for speaking with me. They were a blast to talk to. That 90's show is now streaming on Netflix. And for more of my full interviews, visit the Advocate Channel YouTube page or advocatechannel.com. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and I'll see you next time.